They say that you don't know the choice to make. You say that making love can be give or take. But I am telling you, there is nothing I can't do. I'm your conscience. Let your conscience be your guide. I know what you're thinking, know what you're planning, know what you're doing. Give it to me, I want it. That's that son, baby, if you didn't know. They used to come through and say, we're here. Son is here. Showing off tonight. All right, we give that Virgin energy out, baby. We give that Virgin energy out. Virgin helps you cut through ignorance, baby. You know, I'm wearing the Virgin, keeping that energy, that Virgin energy going around me. Give you that diamond energy, baby, that Heckama diamond energy that matches with the motion of the Virgin. The Virgin is the thunderbolt. This is where they get the Poseidon. You know, the trident comes from this. It's just their version of it. And may the power of blue argonite propel you. May the power of blue argonite propel you. May the power of blue argonite propel you. I showed many times before. I don't know. Oh, with the light. See, I'm about to give you the tunes of the Virgin. You see that? That's that thunderbolt, baby. Well, guten morning, everyone. I'm Big Pontiac, and this is the Chocolate Mountain Show. This is my special funky host, Nobody's Fool. I'll put a little light on the subject. Still hiding this side. That's all right. I can probably add that to it. There I go. Ham as ever. uh, Guess that gave me a little more white balance, a little more white light. Okay. As I've said, I am Big Pontiac. This is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I'm also the holder of the Sacred Ball game that was created by the Hero Twins. And I'm also your one and only Galactic Daddy-O, sitting and welcoming each of the Chocolate Mountaineers to my galactic patio that reaches from Minnesota to the universe. And tonight's beer is back to Boulder Beer. They got it back in for me. So pop them if you got them. And just look at me having Boulder Beer and you're not having it. So right now you look at me and you just wish you could eyes of Laura Marsh and have the taste sensitive. And you just wish you could be me. Holding this beautiful beer in the Applebee's Detroit Lions cup. Applebee's Detroit Lions. I don't have a Vikings. And I am on edibles tonight, so smoke them if you want. So what's happening? Necessary Evil. Thank you for coming. Keeping my eye on the San Antonio Spurs draft pick. What? It's over. The draft is over. The draft is over. The draft is over. They only go 2 rounds now. Or do they still go 3? Because I know a lot of the third rounds used to not make it, so they cut it out. But Chet Holmgren went to OKC. I really didn't have a problem with the guy from Duke going number 1 overall. I think at times he did appear to be one of the players of the year. And I told you, my hometown friend, Keegan Murray is going to Sacramento. He was the 4th pick. He was the 4th pick. Keegan Murray, which is my friend's. Let me get his dad's name right. I got a Keelan. What is his dad's name? Oh my goodness, I get his dad's name. I should know it. But his dad played at Iowa. Played a little semi-pro ball around the world. I know he played a while in China. Keenan. Okay, so Keegan Murray is Keegan's father. And Keenan at one time was Michigan's Mr. Basketball. It was all set up for him to go to Kentucky. This dude ended up at Iowa. Kentucky won the championship while he was at Iowa. But we're happy for his son. Now, the one I want to talk about is Ivy. Now, remember, I made 2 videos, and what did I say? They don't really care about this college championship stuff. They just don't. Not really. They really don't care about the college championship. Not like you think. Not as far as NBA goes. Now, Ivy did 2 turnovers, which I showed on purpose. I think it was a total of 4 that he had, but he had 3 crucial turnovers. I showed 2 of them. And you see tonight he was rewarded. But not only that, the whole play up of the mama thing. Now, I know his mom coaches at Notre Dame, but that whole play up, and that's what sports with brothers tend to be. Like they want to get on Alonzo or the Ball family for having a strong father, but they played up the mother thing. Big Perk was talking about, the most moving moment was, and you can tell when they're given scripts, and he's like, his mother and the thing his mother went through. How many dads was highlighted tonight? How many dads had to drive through snow to take their children to go to practice or had to follow the bus to go to a high school game in the wintertime when it's snowing like hell? Get off work and then got to shoot at a game. get in late, got to turn around, get up early, go to work. A lot of that don't be talked about. And somebody hit me up and they made a comment. They said they knew the young man. They got drafted #1. According to him, he was saying they couldn't even afford the suit that he wore. Now, people forget they've been paying players for the past 2 years. So while that young man was playing at Duke, he was getting paid. So he made decent money. You sign with an agent, you can get loans from your agent. That's what you were seeing in the NFL. And they kind of went after that. Because these guys are signing and weren't going to the NFL draft and they all iced out. Dudes ain't making no money. But what we saw before college players was making money, what we saw was agents was giving loans to these players to get this jury, or you can rent jury too. If you can rent jury. But so it was interesting. Dude hit me with that. So the dude had enough money to get the suit, to get his people all dressed up too. The agent wasn't going to let that family look raggedy, knowing they was going to be on camera, knowing that there was a possibility he might go first. So, Peanut Butter Hero, he got trouble with Coach K grandson, but that went away because it was Coach K grandson and a #1 pick. He got in trouble with the coach's grandson. Okay. I did not know that. Well, thank you for adding that. Now, should he have went over Chet? I didn't really have an argument. I thought, like it or not, Chet is really a lot like Porzingis. A better defender, though. Where Chet is really going to flourish. Once Chet, his body fills out, he is going to be one of the best shot blockers we've seen. He goes after shots. Even though he's going to probably have to play 5, I would be more comfortable with him being 4 and have a dude that's a little thicker being my 5 when I had to go to 5. But in the modern game of just shooting, I mean, he can handle, he can dribble. Dribble mean the same, but he can shoot. I meant to say he can handle, shoot, and he can dribble. So he's going to be a triple threat he's going to match up. I'll say this. He will match up pretty good with most 5s other than the size problem of having to go through 85 games. He needs to gain bulk. But other than that, and he looks like, I'll say Chet Holmgren. He looks like, what he looks like? You remember in Men in Black, they had the little things that always smoked the cigarettes, but remember how they were short? That's what he looks like. I mean, he's nothing but legs and arms. I mean, he's the oddest shaped kind of dude. I mean, I look at him and I'm like, man, this does not look like a human. I mean, he's just all legs and arms with very little torso. So, hey, Dred, thank you for joining. I like Cleveland's pick, Abaju from Kansas. Okay. And it was interesting, watching it because really the lottery, you're not in the lottery if you are out of the 15th pick is out of the lottery. It's the top 14 picks are where the top money is. I'll tell you one thing I did like, though. I'll say I did like this. I liked there was several picks, because again, I only watched the last 4 or 5 picks, if that. I caught the last 2 for sure. The rest of it was replay, but it was several picks from the G League, and that's pretty cool. I like that. I like that advancement. I like that they get the opportunity from the G League. So I do like that. I think that was positive. So Charles Barkley would be roasting him in no time about looking hungry. Chet knows nothing about weights. Another Durant. I'm going to say Chet going to be a better defender, though. Now, remember, if you put Chet up against Durant is just an older cat. But Durant, just got thicker from being older. It didn't really look like he worked on himself a whole lot to be a bigger cat. Very similar, though. Very similar to Durant when he went into the league. I'll say that. I'll agree with that. but he'll fit in well with a basketball player. And surprisingly, he'll be able to guard fours and fives. Again, the big beefy centers is a thing of the past. Um, if he had to face that every night, it would be hard for him. But he's not going to have to face that. He's going to have to face people going up and down. And one thing about a shot blocker that can go up and down, he's going to be on a lot of them hustle plays and blocking shots. And I'll even be bold enough to say that he might lead the league in shot blocks next year. It would not surprise me. It would not surprise me that next season Chet leads the leagues in blocks. I mean, he is that. You have to want to block shots. I used to love to block shots. I told this story a few times, and this happened 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row, me and this cat was at the same spot on the basketball court. I knew he couldn't jump, and in no way he could out-jump me, so he's doing all this head fake and pumping, which get most people in the air. I know no matter what I do, I don't have to leave the floor until he leaves the floor because he can't get it over me. And as soon as he put it up, I just pinned it on the backboard. Cut to a year later, we are in that same gym at the same basket in the same exact spot. And he tries the same thing, and I pin it on the backboard. I mean, you have to like blocking shots. I blocked a dude's shot in the stands. This dude had been playing varsity. He got put down to JV. I played JV in 10th grade. He shot a shot in the corner on me, and I threw it in the stands behind him. Don't you know? And I think this brother's still alive. For the next 30 years, he would just, every time he would see me, he would stop me and talk about that. Like, man, I thought I was the shit. I mean, he really did. His story was kind of cool. He said I helped him because he said he started working on his game. But he's like, man, I really thought I was the shit. I'm coming down to play JV. I know I'm about to get mine. And my first shot, you threw it in the stands. He said that shit was a reality check like a motherfucker for it. Hats off to Michael Pulley. Then I had another homeboy that I heard that lived in Michigan that passed. Really saddened. Not sure. He worked at Post. I talked to my ex, and my ex said he was 2 years older, so he could only have been 50, 51 at the most. So I don't know how he passed. I've kind of probably got to talk to my older son. But my ex-wife said she hadn't heard, and her cousin, she didn't know him, which, small town like that is, it's possible they don't know each other. But great hooper, good guy, good parent. Kind of sad to see him go, but that's life. That is life. I remember the cat played in high school, and that's what's heartbreaking. I know some of these guys. I watched them play in high school, and then we became friends. Even though they was younger than me, we were just cool. So, 8 million stories. 8 million stories. But yeah, this is where these young men sign into the illusion, the illusion of professional sports. And just as I was showing, Ivy is a perfect example. They look for people that can play these roles. So if you don't mind, it's like what they did with Isaiah Thomas when Isaiah Thomas threw the ball away on purpose to Larry Bird. And the only way they could win, all Isaiah had to do was call timeout. That's all Isaiah did. But Isaiah was on code. He had to quickly make the turnover to help Boston win. Because if they call timeout and set up a play, they're going to catch the ball and get fouled. They in the finals. They couldn't have that. So Isaiah had to take the ball out quick and make sure Larry Bird got it. But he was rewarded years later. Same with Joe Dumars. Now picking Carmelo Anthony, picking that Melochek, or whatever his name was, that never became anything but a joke. His name ended up meaning cleanup time. Like when the scrubs come in, ain't nobody in the NBA really scrubs. But this was a dude totally was on the agenda, totally pushing foreigners, but Detroit was later rewarded with a championship. Even though they didn't get the better player, they still were, and it was a wasted pick in every way. It was a wasted pick. So, hey, Vaca, how you doing? The Most High, Darko Milik. Yeah, Darko. Darko meant cleanup, losing time. Like when the Pistons would be blowing out teams, they would start yelling, Darko time, because that meant, that'd be the only time he went in. And so this is how, they humiliate themselves, but then they get repaid. And Ivy is the perfect example of that. Oh, and then the foreign stuff. The last pick was from France. See, and this is what's insulting. When they bring 6'5" dudes to America, now everybody listening to me, how many ever is out there? How many people do you know that's 6'5"? I bet everybody knows a person that's 6'5". My second oldest son is 6'5". I know a lot of people 6'5". So you telling me that in the whole draft, and this dude stayed from the beginning to the end, so he knew he was getting picked. He ain't stayed there, but he knew. They knew something. 6'5" from France. Why is he needed in America? Please explain that to me. Please explain to me that he was the best 6'5" dude in the country. Well, he was in France. Do you know how common? It's like me. 6 foot used to be, average 40, 50 years ago. Average. So you're telling me an average dude from France should get a chance to play in the NBA? Yeah, he shouldn't. Yeah, I don't get why the second round picks were waiting to get drafted, but then again, there's only 2 rounds. It was like I told the story, 2 dudes that, let me get this right about Dennis Rodman. Was Dennis Rodman a 3rd round pick? Let me get this right. Because Dennis Rodman, how did that go? Okay, so I believe this is how it went. Okay, so Rodman went 2nd round to the Pistons. My friend Joe Binion went 3rd round to San Antonio, but I think he got traded to the Pistons. And Joe Binion was 6'8", better scorer than Magic, not really outside shooter, but like a Joe Johnson mid-range game, really. Gonna give you 15, 20 rebounds, though. And they had Rodman. Now, if Joe would have been given that chance, could Joe have done what Rodman did? Probably not on defense, but rebounding, he would have been just as good. Same size, probably bigger. I think Joe was closer to 6'9", Rodman 6'8". So probably a little bigger dude. And Joe ended up, I know he played over Greece, but he played his whole career, over Europe. Did well. I'd heard he owned some land in Greece at one time, but did well. But didn't get that NBA thing. When I thought he really should have got a look. Now, did Rodman turn out later to be a better player? Perhaps. Rodman got the opportunity. Oh, there he is. Lorenzo. What's happening? What's up, Pontiac? What's crazy? He won a championship before anybody that was drafted in that 03 class. Yeah, exactly. He did. Yep, he sure did. Even though he didn't play. He won a championship, but he didn't play. But they was forced. They was forced to do that. They ain't want Melo on that good team. I am. How you doing? Shango, how you doing? Why didn't I? Well, I would have really probably suffered. I suffered tremendously playing high school basketball with shin splints. In 10th grade, I wore Chuck Taylors, and it destroyed my legs. And my legs really never recovered. So I don't know. Playing football on grass was a little different. Of course, I did play semi-pro basketball for 20 years. I just don't think at my size, even if I would have played college basketball, I just don't know that the right time and right place would have happened. Now, skill-wise, I could have played 2. I definitely could have played 2. Good shot blocker, good defender, quick, very quick. As I said, I ran a 4.4. And one thing about me that made me distinct hooping was as a football player, you know, as a receiver, I'm constantly making cuts on people. I'm constantly turning dudes' hips as I'm running forward at them. I'm making them turn. When I cut, they're turning. I was able to do that dribbling. So I could dribble at a person and make a like a wide receiver cut on them. So I could like cut this way and be dribbling and then just cross over really quick in the same kind of football step, So I had a skill, but I just don't think that time and place for me. Because this is what I had to do. And let me say what I had to do. I played forward and center most of my career just because I had a 47-inch vertical. So my junior year, I played nothing but forward. And a lot of times it was big forward because I could guard. It didn't matter. I'm blocking dudes' shots left and right. But my very last varsity game, I played point guard. We lost in district. But I played point. I wanted to show people I could handle the ball, and I could. And I could shoot outside. So I wasn't going to get any looks. Nobody wants a 6-foot center. Not even 40 years ago. Ralph Sampson was in my class. Uncle Straight, Baby Cleveland. Oh, no, he was rocking lifestyle, local branding from the hood. Jay Hicks, Unc, a straight. Oh. Rock and royal, loyal lifestyle, local brand from the hood. Okay. I thought, no, I'm only 6 foot. I'm 6 foot. I think I weigh 228 right now. Yeah, I'm only 6 foot, 228. But actually, I was big for really playing a flanker. I played more of a flanker than a receiver. I played in the slot more than spread out. Kind of both, but little of both. Did the TV show did the TV show Coach was your inspiration to be decked out in the Gopher gear? No, I'm giving credence to my daughter's grandfather. My daughter's grandfather played for the Golden Gophers back when Kyle Eller played, and maybe even Bobby Bell. So plus it's cheap, and this is Champion. University of Minnesota's Champion gear, so I like Champion gear too. And so this stuff is like, I probably got this shirt from Marshall's, probably $6-7 at that. So, and I like, this is my high school colors too. My high school colors is exactly the same. So, you talking about the white shadow? Was you talking about the white shadow though? But it's cheap here. The Gopher stuff is cheap up here, so that's why I get it. Just like the Viking stuff, it's cheap up here. Oh, Brother Sean is watching. Finally found him a shirt. Man, it's starting to release this Viking stuff again. And so I got this shirt for Brother Sean. And with this hat, the Vikings gear with this hat. So I got to send this to New Zealand. So, and I got to give him some crystals too. But yeah, they haven't been, now they're just bringing the Viking gear back out. So I got to send that to him. See, I got to send Brother Nick some stuff. I got to send Conspiracy University. Yeah. So, no, the TV coach. Remember that. Oh, yeah. He was. That really didn't even exist. Minnesota State. Minnesota State didn't even really exist. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, because what was her name? Annette Funicello. Was that her name? No. Or is that the Musketeer? Shelley Fabre. Yes, Shelley Fabre was his girlfriend. I love Shelley Fabre. I think that was her name. Shelley Fabre played on it with him because she grew up on TV, but I think that was her name, Shelley Fabre. I liked her. That's why I watched Coach. But now Mankato is called Minnesota State. but it was really state school, but it was called Mankato State at one time. Now I think they call it Minnesota State, but it was Mankato. So it really was no school. There was that TV show. Yeah, Craig T. Nelson. Yeah, but Shelley Fabre, I think, was her name. Shelley. Okay, Shelley Fabre. I am named after an actor named Brian Keith. He did a show called Family Affair in the 70s, but later he played a doctor. And Shelley Fabre was, I think, his daughter that worked in the doctor's office. I think that's how it went. And that's what made her famous, her and Brian Keith. And then later she played on that show, Coach. Yeah. I liked her, though. Shelley Fabre. A good show. Yeah, but Mankato State. Yeah, but that didn't exist. It didn't exist until that's what they called it. That's what they call it now. You know, it's just the Gophers. It's just the Gophers. I got A&T stuff. I got more Minnesota stuff than I got A&T stuff. I got to get more A&T stuff. It's like I did shit like my practice jerseys, cut them all up, you know, cut the arms out, cut the bellies out when I was young. So all my A&T stuff. And I just thought it was goofy to wear the A&T shit. I never wore that shit when I lived on campus. Never. Not one time did I own anything A&T when I lived on campus. I just thought that shit was corny. Not one t-shirt, not one sweatshirt, nothing A&T. But my practice jerseys. That's it. I ain't have nothing A&T. I just thought that shit was corny to be on campus wearing that shit. Yeah. NCA&T. That's me. Chet being skinny means nothing. Trent Tucker. You know Trent. Trent had a brother too. My cousin was like Trent. What was Trent's brother's name? Trent still lives here. I want to say Trent still lives here. I'm pretty sure he does. I think Trent still lives here, but his brother, because they're from Flint, and it was two Tucker dudes I met through my cousin. My cousin grew up in Flint. My cousin's a year younger than me. Was Trent Magic's age? Was the Tucker dudes Magic age? They might have been. They might have been a year older than Magic. I think Trent Tucker was a year older than Magic. So he probably graduated from high school like in 76. But yeah, I remember. Oh, Chet is being too skinny means nothing. No, it doesn't. Yeah. Yeah, he'll be all right. Yeah, Chet will be all right. But yeah, I know Trent Tucker. Yeah. But yeah, peanut butter, NCA&T, Aggies. Oh, okay. I'll say this. I had my letter sweater. I lettered as a sophomore, so I had my letter sweater. But we rarely wore that shit. We rarely wore that shit. And then I got my coat. Did you ever see Curry shoot at the park and he missed 4 practice threes in a row? I haven't. And the only really way that you could do that, is make sure, like, let someone outside bring the balls in, that it ain't corrupted, make the hoops be put up. Like, I don't care, like we want to know, I want to buy a hoop from like Costco or somewhere and put that hoop up so we know that they can't do it. We want to pick out the balls. We want zero communication of this event so they can't, whatever technology they have, that they can't use it, because it's possible they can manipulate these just regular balls. That's possible. We can't throw that out the realm of knowing. So it would have to be done like super secret, but I can't say. My sister went there. I live in North Carolina. Oh, your sister? Yeah, your sister went to A&T? Okay, yeah. I lived down there for 7 years. I lived right across from the tennis courts. If you know where the tennis courts in A&T is, them houses probably ain't even there. I lived in a little duplex. Dude lived with his grandmother. His grandmother was bedridden. He slept on the couch, and she had a bed. And it was a little shotgun house. It's like you come in, that's the living room. You go in the middle, that's the bedroom, bathroom, and you go in the back of the house, that's the kitchen. The kitchen is in the back. You just walk through. So, people using the bathroom going through my bedroom. That's how I was making it back then, working for the water department while my first wife was still going to A&T. That's what we did. Sherilita, how are you? Thank you for joining me. Curry shot with a real ball and he was missing. I'm not surprised. Wide open shot. He's missing wide open shots. That don't surprise me. Imagine if someone was guarding Curry, he would not be making threes with a real ball. No, he wouldn't. We see that. Like I'll tell you what I didn't know. They only made it to the Elite Eight. I thought they made it to the Final Four. They said, now see, is that real? Didn't they make it to the Final Four? Now they're saying that they didn't make it to the Final Four. They only made it to the Elite Eight. Then something's changed because I remember them Davidson making it to the Final Four. And I watched some shit yesterday said he propelled them to the Elite Eight. No, hell no. They helped him make the Final Four. Davidson made the Final Four. Now they're saying that he only made the Elite Eight, which is not what happened. They let him make it to the Final Four. So maybe they changed that. I don't know if anybody else remember that, but that's what I remember is Davidson made it to the Final Four, not the Elite Eight. They trying to change it. I think so. Because I remember that exclusively. They made it to the Final Four. Davidson made it to the Final Four. They lost of course they lost the first game. Whoever made it that year, they lost the first game. Now they're saying no. He took the Davidson program to the Elite Eight. How did that get you a high draft pick? Because you from the Elite Eight. You had a couple good games in the tournament. Trae Young was missing. Remember when Trae Young made the tournament? They shouldn't have made it, but they was picked in the open, and Trae Young didn't make it but the first game. First game, he got knocked out. I watched the episode of Cosby. I'm glad they got him back on. It was on free TV forever. That's who was showing it. It was free TV. Well, imagine it wasn't free. They had commercials, but they showed this stuff for years. Had a hat that said 252 Central. I looked up the area code and it was North Carolina. Since he wore AV gear, I'm thinking it was for North Carolina Central. Yeah. He was pretty good about that. He He wore A&T stuff. He wore Southern stuff. He wore Grambling. He had the other people wearing that. I know a lot of the brothers, look at it as saying, go to the school, doing the Booker T. Washington thing. Education is the way to attack, this system. I'm gonna say this, just like my first wife, my ex-wife, got free college. It was a lot of poor people getting free college during that Cosby era. And she had graduated. We was out of college, but that money was still there to help poor people go to college when Cosby was showing them shows. And again, if you look at what European America did after. The South didn't want brothers to play in the sports, but when brothers started dominating, look what they did, And that's the thing that made the AFL, if you want to know a history of what made the AFL successful, is the AFL started putting brothers on teams in big numbers. Because up to that point, it was a couple brothers, you had to be Jim Brown. So it was outstanding brothers, but not in the numbers that the AFL came with. AFL came with putting a lot of brothers on the team. As I said before, that is how I got interested in the game because my stepfather would turn on the AFL games. I didn't even know any difference. All I know is the Raiders was this league and the Eagles was the other league. That was the only difference I knew. I liked the Raiders. When the NBC play, I liked the Raiders. The CBS teams, I liked the Eagles. That's kind of all I know. Did you watch the draft, the start of the young men's acting? Yeah, I watched the end of it. I saw the replays, though. I was wondering where Chet went. This is why most NBA stars don't play basketball outside the NBA because the magnets make them look better. Well, they got that clause, too. Like Michael Jordan had to get the love of the game clause, and I've explained that before. I'm pretty sure it was called the Terry Durod rule, and Terry Durod was playing Pro-Am. I think Terry was playing in Chicago in a summer league, and Terry had signed. If I get this right, Terry won the championship, Larry Bird's first championship. So that had to have been 80-81. Yeah, and so Terry signed a nice deal. Matter of fact, when they're interview, and they interviewed Terry too. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Terry. It was either Greg Lloyd or Terry. I kind of get them two mixed up. But and then he tore his knee in that summer league, and so they put a clause in their contracts where they could only participate in NBA sanctioned events, and that's why Michael Jordan had the love of the game clause, because he wanted to be able to play with everybody. But as I said, it was one nigga in Chicago he avoided. I wish I could remember this young man's name because he spent most of his life in prison, but it was one of them killers in Chicago. And I don't mean killers killing people. I mean killers in the court. And he was the one dude that Jordan would not play against in Chicago. And they got stories of this dude would show up to play against Jordan and Jordan wouldn't play against him. Jordan would be playing one game, dude would come in the gym, next winners, Jordan won, he'd leave the gym, wouldn't face that dude. Now, I wish I could find him, but he spent his life in and out of prison. But Slam Magazine, then I looked and talked to some people. That's where I caught it in Slam Magazine. They talked about the top people that didn't make it in the Jordan era and how they would have faced up with Jordan. And this was the one cat that was like the top dude that would give him the business. And apparently Jordan didn't want any part of him. That's why most NBA stars, yeah, and that's why they don't play though. They really can't. They really can't play unless it's sanctioned. That's why a lot of them started going up to UCLA. I think the league, the Drew League, is sanctioned by the NBA. That's why they can play in that. The same way with the Rucker League. The Rucker League is also sanctioned by the NBA. Because insurance-wise, that's a tough call. You know, insurance-wise, the league could say, the league could easily say that you're not, doing a league activity, just hooping somewhere and get hurt. But, so insurance-wise, that makes sense. That makes sense. But if you're in a league, something sanctioned by them, you get hurt. They're kind of up for that. So, KD played games at a ballpark. He was still making his shots. I never said dudes can't shoot. Dudes can't shoot as far and as consistently as they show. But yeah, dudes can play. Dudes can play. Not saying they can't play. My daughter told me a story that Kobe, when he was 8 years old, scored 60 points in a game. I don't believe that story at all. I know how 8-year-olds play. And I can't say that. I mean, that's a lot of effort. That's a lot of effort. So I don't know if y'all heard that story before. I've never heard that story where he was 8 years old and he could steal it. Nobody could dribble but him. So I don't know if that's believable, but I don't know. NBA made their clause. People like us will point out the manipulation not working. I mean, I've talked about seeing a lot of pro basketball players play in pro-am leagues in the 70s, and I've seen people give pro players work. I've seen some pro players put work on people too. As I said before, I watched Isaiah come in the pro-am game at halftime and score 50 in that half. And it wasn't too many threes. He was just taking everybody to the hole. He came at halftime, and he put work in. Watch Chet be a star. They're going to turn this Magnus on. Oh, absolutely. They're going to push Chet. They're going to push Chet. That's why, as I said, there's something they don't like about Luka. Luka doesn't have – the only national commercials you see with Luka is involved with NBA commercials. You never see Luka lead a national commercial. They ain't putting money. I'll say this. Watch Chet get a national commercial. Watch. Shotty Vaughn, after when he had got drafted, he had a couple local commercials. But watch Chet get some national commercials. I think they're going to put more emphasis on Chet than they put on Luka. I think once Chet goes in the league, they're going to put a little more emphasis because something about these European players, like even Dirk, and people, I'll say if there's one underrated NBA player, it has to be Dirk. If you look at the amount of points that he amassed, it is just crazy. He is something like, I think, the top 10 or definitely the top 20 in all-time scoring. something like 27,000 points. I mean, it is remarkable if you look at his career. I didn't think he was a great rebounder early in his career, but on the other side, he sat for a couple years. Him and Steve Nash both. They sat. Steve Nash was originally drafted by Dallas. Dirk wasn't ready. And you know, he didn't play against the dream team on accident. That was on purpose. That was on purpose. What did y'all think about my video that they showed talking about now the trans people are going to be considered Title IX? Now, I had to make that video and pat myself on the back because I've been telling from the very beginning for years that Title IX was also about trans athletes. And now they come out and admit it, that it's going to be considered. It was considered from day one. Day one. It was about helping trans athletes too. And that was something that I missed. But when I went back and looked at it, I looked up Robin Roberts, it was for that too. Because dudes been playing college basketball. I don't care what anybody says. Dudes have been playing women's college basketball. I don't care what anybody says. That's been going on. I done did too many games. I know the body types. I took physiology, kinesiology, biology. What is it? Biology, study of muscles, study of bones. I took all that. So, but it's interesting. So that's why I had to put that out there. Durant did make consecutive 3 shots at the ballpark in the Rucker, but if you paid attention, it was in the same spot. You can go watch it on YouTube. Yeah, I don't. Okay, from the same spot. That's interesting. But dudes can hoop. Again, you know, we talking about a dude that hoops all the time. And you saying from the same spot. Yeah, of course, nobody guarding you from the same spot is easy, but not saying he can't hoop. I never said dudes don't have skill and dudes can't score because that ain't true. And I'm not saying dudes can't shoot mid-range and sometimes make threes. I'm saying is consistently is that what 14 or 15 season with Steph was throwing it from the locker room and they was counting for 12, you know, that wasn't realistic. That wasn't realistic. And really, that was probably the worst NBA script ever, because the script is to let them have such a big lead by the first quarter. Steph didn't even play a lot in the third quarters and the fourth quarters, especially in fourth quarters, because the script was for them to blow teams out by the first quarter. That was the script. And that was some of the worst basketball ever when Steph won his first MVP and they beaten all the teams in the first quarter. They was up by 20 and maintained that 20. It wasn't like we saw in the NBA Finals where these 20-point lead was dwindling. No, they kept the 20-point lead. So they was up by 20 in the first quarter, and they continued 20 in the second, 20 in the third. Steph don't play in the fourth. That was the script. Adam Silver looked crazy. I wonder what's going on with him. To keep him away when this thing ain't really no thing anymore. There's something going on with him. There's some move he made that somebody didn't like. And so he was disciplined. That's what I look at it as. And they let him come out tonight. But he was disciplined because this thing ain't a thing no more. And to hold him out for the finals was a message. And it seemed like it was some kind of discipline. So I don't know what he did, but he appeared to do something. He did something. Oh yeah, he's Jewish faith. No doubt he's Jewish faith. So was Stern. Stern was too. Now I can't say the commissioner before Stern, but Stern was too. Yeah, he was throwing it from half court, no doubt. Warriors kept blowing teams out. I remember, kept blowing teams out. I mean, in the first quarter, though. The script was for them to be up high, and he's shooting half court in the first quarter. Why would you shoot those kind of shots in the first quarter when you didn't really need to shoot half court shots? Do you understand how basketball is? Maybe game gets competitive. You need them deep shots. No, he starts off shooting from half court and hitting. Oh, they showed a thing. His very first shot in the NBA was a three. His very first shot. Of course, it wasn't manipulated, so he missed. When Kobe played at the Rucker, he had more assists and points because he was getting triple teamed. Yeah, but he probably wasn't going all out either. One thing you got to remember too, dudes be trying to make their name on, if they checked you, like when LeBron didn't really get dunked on by the one cat from Xavier. That played in that TBT tournament. Y'all had said his name one time. We was talking about this, but that cat, and that's they be trying to avoid that, and guys going at you. So, you think Kyrie leaving the Nets? Absolutely. The Nets don't want him. They don't want him. He got all that bad publicity for standing up. I mean, he was controlled opposition, but he had to play the bad guy, so he's gonna be rewarded for playing the bad guy. But really, he been injury prone since he was at Duke. Remember, he only played 12 games at Duke, so he's been injury prone his whole career. I mean, the reason they got rid of him in Cleveland because he was hurt, and he was going to do what Scottie Pippen did, go get surgery during the season instead of when he needed surgery. That's what he told him. He's like, if you don't trade me, I'll go have the surgery. So I ain't gonna play regardless. So I don't know. He's filled his purpose. If I would have owned that team, it's no way I would have brought in him or Durant. They had a nice nucleus before either one of them. Dinwiddie was still there. They had the center that's blocking all the shots that's Cleveland now. No way I'd have brought him in. No way. But I would have never brought in Garnett. I would have never brought in Pierce to Brooklyn either. I mean, that was all stupid moves. Stupid moves. Just like when they brought Garnett back here. I was at the very first game when they brought him back. I think it's still pictures on Facebook of me at that game. Shit, we had bench seats. We were sitting behind. I got to see most of the games where I was sitting courtside or sitting right behind the bench I was seeing the shit out of Portland. I sat in so many games the Portland coaches was giving me the stats and shit. It's like, here you go. Just take, because they get the stats out there every quarter and shit. They print them out and give them to the assistant. The weaker, like the head assistant sits next to the coach. Y'all realize that. Well, look in the background. You see the junior coaches back there. The assistants. Ain't win, then you'll never win. Like Detroit. Yeah, Detroit ain't gonna never win. Kyrie leaves Durant, championship windows closed. Ain't win, then you'll never win. Yeah, Detroit would never win. Detroit would never win, and they'll be happy not to win. They'll be happy not to win. It's okay. They don't care. It ain't about winning to them. It's about putting butts in seats, having a good product. That's all it's about. And some years they ain't even have a good product. Think about this. Detroit built a new stadium. The Fords, Fords own that shit. And now, the car industry is worth hundreds of billions, But that thing they spent, I just read what he bought it for. What did he buy it for? I think they bought the Lions for less than $1 million. And 60 or 61. And now it's worth damn near $1 billion. And so the Ford family failure, I think his name was William Clay. Yeah, they put him for the Lions to get him the fuck out of the auto business. And now the legacy of his line is $1 billion business. So I don't care if they win. KD will request a trade. I don't know. He gonna fall him where he go? I don't know. I wouldn't really want to hitch my luck with him. But I tell you what's crazy is Westbrook get $37 million. No, Westbrook gets $47 million and Kyrie gets $37 million. Now Kyrie been hurt. Westbrook ain't been as injury prone. But damn, what did Westbrook really get? You know, them fake triple doubles. Mm. Do you think Durant's winning another one? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think they're gonna let him win one by himself. He's not staying in Brooklyn. I don't know. I think his because what Kyrie is in his option year. I don't think Durant, this is his option year. That's why Kyrie has a little more leverage because of the option. So we'll see. We'll see. But we'll see. But is it hot everywhere? It was 90 here again. I played a little bit of pickleball. I only played 2 games. Just kind of the timing, everybody was kind of leaving, and I sat there. I got there about 6 something because it was still 90 something. It's still 80 degrees here now, or 78, 79. Before I got on air, 78, 79. It's still hot. I just turned the air conditioner off. So triple double's not real. No, triple double's definitely not real. Mac Pat, how you doing? What's in the plans for LeBron? To play with his son, to play with Bronny. That's the plan. Bronny gonna play 1 year somewhere, and they gonna get Bronny, and Bronny gonna end up being the number 1 pick. Hell, if they brought that dude from France to be a number 2 pick, Bronny gonna be a number 1 pick. Now Bronny's team won't win the championship. Won't win the championship. They'll set where he won't win the championship, but he's gonna have good stats. So wherever he ends up, he's gonna have good stats. Let me say this before I switch over. Like, Obama had quit going after gun cases. A lot of people would get, like, if you, like, I got a friend that did 8 years. He doing 8 years. He might be out now, but he got caught with a gun. And so he got caught before Obama. Maybe early Obama. But Obama has stopped federally going after, gun cases if there wasn't a violent crime. So there's no violent crime. They wasn't going after the cases. The senator from Alabama that was over the the Justice Department. What was his name? A little short dude. No, he was from Georgia. That dude, before Trump fired him, Sessions, I want to say Jeff Sessions, that dude put in a new decree that they were going to go after prosecuting gun cases again for having a gun. Having a gun, but with a non-violent, you just got caught with a gun. Under Obama, they wasn't going after people. Jeff Sessions, before Trump fired him, that's one thing he got through, where they were going after people federally for having these guns. Almost like rob a bank. You rob a bank, that's automatically 5 years Fed time, not state time, Fed time. So what we saw today is the legal right for people to carry guns. And all these states that's trying to push back. Because too many people have showed you in history, once they take the guns, you have no choice. Now, we had the first president that fully threatened the American people. Because what did Biden say in his first 30, 40 days in office? He said, y'all ain't got atom bombs and jets. No other president has ever said that to the American people. Telling the American people that 10 by 10 mile place called the Fed or the American Vatican, that they would use the powers of those against the people. But that's what Biden said. You don't have atomic weapons, which they don't have. They have napalm. And you don't have jets, as if that would be used against the American people. So this is a victory for the common man, because everybody should have the right to defend themselves. Because really the way the law is written, and one thing that's not spoken is the laws is written is we got the right to defend ourselves against crooked politicians. That's what it's, tyranny. When the American people are faced with tyranny, we have the right to defend ourselves. And actually, we have the right to overthrow the government. That's the way it's all written. If the government fails to serve the people. And how are millionaires serving the people? I watched the girl Omar. She wasn't rich before she went in. Look at her now. Look at the first move she made. The first move she made was to make sure the dude she was fucking made money. Some say she married her brother so her brother could get over here legally. And then she was married to another cat. Did she have children? That she's married to another dude that she has children by. Then she left him for this European dude, and she made sure that this European dude got about $2 or $3 million. And now you look at how wealthy she is. And only been in there, what, 3-4 years? That violates the amendment. Right. So the NBA got this plan to go out for the playing career going to play out. So the NBA got all this planned out. Yeah, everybody's career. Yeah. Yep, that does violate the Constitution. Speaking of Transformers, did you see Lobo video about Tyga and YG? He said Tyga looks like a deformed Candace Parker. And I think YG got caught with a transformer. And of course, they had them do this during Pride. Okay. Oh, okay. Why haven't I seen that? That didn't come up. Wow. And then, I think, we have the second biggest Pride parade. They're expecting 300,000 people to go over by Lauren Park area. That's where it starts. It's funny. Lauren Park is like when I moved here where everybody hooped at. Like it was like where everybody hooped at. I met one of my older best friends when I first moved here. My mother told me where she thought they played, and it was called the Gay Park. Lauren Park is where all the gay area is what they call it. And that's where all the brothers was pooping. And so, but I ended up meeting my friend who played in the Globetrotters, but I met one cat. I was leaving, and I just crapped on him, like, man, where else do they hoop at? And he's like, so-and-so. And so I started hooping with them and got to meeting everybody through that cat. But yeah, Lauren Park is where it starts. But it's big money, too. It's big money here. All the restaurants. I think the clubs stay open later. 300,000 is quite a injection to downtown. This is all downtown. And I was talking about we have a big Catholic church here, Basilica. We have a basilica here, and it ain't far from this Lauren Park. It ain't far at all. It's like you can see Lauren Park. You can see the basilica from Lauren Park. It's like the same area of downtown. I never thought about it. It's like the ley line that basilica, yeah, would damn near run to where the Lauren Park area is. So I can see where they're using a little of that energy too. I hadn't thought about that before. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me either. That doesn't surprise me. And something I mentioned last night, seeing the Terry Siragusa, and the way he went at, hurting quarterbacks on purpose. Then they had him as the sideline reporter. And then at 55, his 15 minutes of fame was up. And he only spent a year or two being a sideline reporter. His usefulness went away pretty quick. Because he was a duh. He really was a duh. And you know what I think they thought? I'm pretty sure they thought he was another John Madden. That's what I'm guessing. They thought he had some similarities to John Madden. Because I don't know if a lot of y'all remember. I watched a lot of John Madden's games. And John Madden would just go off and just start talking about some shit. It'd be plays going on and he's telling the fucking story. And they didn't mind. But John Madden would be like talking about some other shit. And you're like, what is this talking about? What is he talking about? And then boom, he's going, he got to ramble a lot of times. People remember that as much. Cigars from Nicaragua. I guess tobacco does have a calming effect. I think I like coffee more. Last year June was black. Every year, every June is Black Music Month. This year it's still that, but now it's Pride Month. It's funny how much. Nah. What did I say, Lorenzo? What did I tell you? My calendar said. My calendar did not say Father's Day. My calendar said Juneteenth. It was like almost Juneteenth was Trump and Father's Day. And Juneteenth is all a lie because the slaves were told 2 years before. The slaves was told almost after he wrote it. Within the year he wrote the shit, the slaves was told in Texas they didn't have to be slaves no more. So this is a nothing creation. This is some made up shit. And as I said before, I went to a black college, lived down there for 7 years, never heard about it until I come here. Never heard about it until I came to Minnesota, and they celebrated it here. And I don't understand because, as I've said many nights, ain't no niggas here. 3.5 million people, or just we can just say 3 million people, 250,000 melanated folks. That ain't a lot. That ain't a lot. It's more Hmong here. It's almost 500,000 Hmong here. It's more Hmong than brothers and sisters. It's more people from Southeast Asia than it is brothers and sisters, because they brought 300,000 Hmong here right after the Vietnam War. Like 75 through 80, they brought 300,000 Hmong here. And they bring people here for voting money too, because this is not a very populated state. I think it's a total of 11 million people, if that. Maybe it's more like 8 million. I think it's 3.5 million, 3 million that live in the Twin Cities, and it's something like 3-4 million that live in the rest of the state. So it's not a heavily populated state. And most of the people live in the Twin Cities. I mean, we have St. Cloud. I only think it's 200,000-300,000 there. So, it's a college town. Yankees can't. Oh yeah, I saw that. Yep, scoring 4 runs in the 9th. Judge hit the walk-off. Yeah. Yeah, Yankees came back on Astros, scoring 4 runs in the 9th inning to win 7-6. So scripted, yeah. And they got, you might be right about the Yankees. I'm looking at them bets. If I bet now, because they're what they say, in 70 games to win 52. The record is 54. So they've won 52 games. So you might be on to something. This might be the Yankees' year. I'm kind of looking at what kind of bets they're putting out. Because we're not quite half. Well, yeah, we're about half. Well, there's 160 games, so not quite half. Not quite half. All-Star games, not for another few weeks. Yeah, I lived for listening to Pat Summerall on John Madden. As soon as you heard that NFL on Fox theme song on Sunday, you know what time? Oh, yeah. I watched Pat Summerall before he was with John Madden. He was with, oh, man, what was the goofy dude? He was an ex-player. But he talked shit about, was he the one that called him, or was it Jiminy Greek called them monkeys or some shit, or they was breeding them to jump higher. That's what Jiminy Greek said. But this dude called Louisville players monkeys. And he was an ex-player, and I can't think of his name, but he was the first. He was the first with him. He was the first back with Summermill. He was the first with him. Was that dude. And then that dude, because when they was doing it's funny how replays wasn't that widely seen. You would see replays like on your sports channel maybe, and then NFL films you started seeing some of the, before cable became real big, you started seeing a little more NFL films, and before the NFL Network you saw ESPN filling in times with NFL films. And so you didn't see the replays as much. And so, yeah, this cat that I'm thinking of, he would do the NFL replays. Yeah. So, and then, of course, if you remember Monday Night Football, before ESPN, Howard Cosell telling, telling the replays of the prior week was a big kind of thing before ESPN really kicked in. And so that was kind of a thing that Howard Cosell got to do. But yeah, Judge had a walk-off tonight.
I caught that before I came on. Yeah, I live listening to Pat Summerall and John Madden. As soon as yeah, I enjoyed that too. I watched a lot of like OJ. OJ was on Monday Night Football. I think they even tried to hammer. I think they even tried to hammer Fred Williamson. I won't say he was on, but OJ, they tried OJ. OJ was the first sideline reporter. Remember during the trial, they was trying to get him saying, when you sideline reporters, you wearing these type of gloves. Because he was doing commercials for them type of gloves that later Dan Marino did. Isotoner gloves. Remember Dan Marino? And it's funny, you get pro athletes, get caught in these situations. Like Kirby Puckett, girl come in, he's in the bathroom stall, chick come in the stall with him and start getting busy with him, and she want to say he did this and that to her. And it kind of led to his divorce where, ain't nobody that his money sits with people that didn't hit a home run, didn't catch a ball, because his ex-wife was children. He died, he was divorced from his wife, but and she was no different than Juanita Jordan, really. She was a club girl. We used to listen to him talk about his dream girl. Then go in the club, there she is. Club girl was his dream girl. That just shows you he was a simp. He was a cat that just, didn't have it. It's like dudes fall in love. It's a difference between seeing a pretty woman and seeing a woman for the first time. Some people see women for the first time and they really can't differentiate that. They really don't have a good gauge to say, okay, she's a new face, but is she really pretty? A lot of people have trouble. Some people think every new face is a pretty face. Well, that's interesting about simps. A lot of dudes really weren't macking on chicks. Look up Muhammad Ali. He married the first woman that gave him something. They said a rumor that when the first kiss he had, he fainted. I don't know if that's just a story, but the first woman that gave him some, he married her. So he wasn't like that. A lot of these cats be like that. They don't have their Mac game up. Steve Saber, NFL Films, is great. He died. He after he died, it just wasn't good anymore. That's all you see. Don't say it ain't no good. All the replays you see after is shot by NFL Films. So they may not go as hard, but all the replays you see that are shot after, you see it on that's NFL Films. They shoot all that. They shoot for every team. So yeah, it's their NFL Films is, they built something that was nothing. They literally built something that was nothing. Just like I was talking about AFL footage. They just started going out and doing AFL games. That's how they started in the NFL. They just started filming the games because nobody was really filming the games other than to share films with each other, scouting films. But nobody was really filming the games like that. So they created a business that didn't exist. That's why they have a bunch of AFL film, because they started going to the AFL games filming it because nobody else was doing it. And so they look at all that. If you want to see, a lot of old brothers that played in AFL, look at the NFL films of AFL games. They got films where they just show players from the AFL. So it's kind of cool. Well, yeah, some guys have low standards. I mean, it's just some dudes ain't really macking on girls like that, I was having 10th grade. D. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, they ain't as much, but yeah, they're still out there. They still doing their thing. They still are doing their thing. NFL, watch what it says. You'll see it. It's the NFL Films when they show the credits. So, yeah, all that footage ESPN show, that's NFL film footage. So they still doing their thing. Yeah, but yeah, it was cats that just didn't have it. Just didn't have it. Just didn't mac on chicks. Didn't mac on chicks in junior high. I said this when I was in 7th grade, I would probably gotten for sexual harassment because I think I grabbed every girl's booty in the junior high, because I went 7th, 8th, and 9th, and I grabbed almost every girl's butt. That was kind of a thing back in 7th grade. That must have been 75, maybe. I think So yeah, none of that. You know, it was kind of like, oh, and he got me too. uh, so you can't do that anymore. You can't go around junior high grabbing girls' butts anymore. One time you could, but not anymore. When I was in 8th grade, we used to have a photography class. And photography class was once you was in the, in the dark room, and it might take you, 20, 30 minutes to, make you, do your film and stuff. And so I started looking, and I was like ending up with this one chick all the time, and I knew I could get with her. And so soon as we locked up in there, and I just spin her around and just like started busting slobs, as they used to call it. Before I know it, we on the floor. We are doing it in the school in the photography class. I was in 8th grade. And I never really talked to her again. I never tried it with her again. I don't know why. Because she was with it. She was really with it. Because it was like we was kind of back to back, and I just turned around and I like turned her shoulders around, and she was standing. I just leaned into her, and she was like, she came into me. So and now you just become more particular in who you want to share your energy with. It's like I had to call my ex tonight. After that, I called her to ask about a friend, and just talking to her, I'm like, why am I sharing energy with you? Like she just said some off the wall shit. It's like, why would I care about that? I'm just like, it was just off the wall shit, but it's needling. I mean, it was like, I don't know. She just needled me for some reason. It was like not even necessary. The shit was like, okay, like I don't give a fuck, chick. You ain't never been shit, so I knew that already. Let me show you my little hobby. This is my little hobby. I've showed this shit before, but I'm gonna show it again. Now I want to show you something we're gonna see a theme with this. As I said, I bought this little knife, only $10. I forgot. I had the same knife, but a bigger version many, many years ago. Bigger version made out of this. It's funny what they did here, and I'll show you how, my attention to detail. I want this shit. Okay. So they trimmed this piece down. Okay, let me catch myself. Get right here. They trimmed this piece flush. You see this right here? This first one. Okay, so right there. You see that pin? That pin is flush. But look how they left this one not flush. They left, like both of these are not flush. Like these three are not flush. That makes no sense. It just, from a quality point of view, and it's the same thing on the other side. It makes no sense that these aren't flush. Like, why did you cut this one flush? You had the same grinder. You could have grind these up. So, but one thing you're going to see is this is nickel. It's called a nickel bolster. You see all that? Oh, that's nickel. That's what you want. Now, this knife is from the same company, but as you see two bolsters, nickel. And I've had this little knife for 10 years. This knife's got to be as old as my daughter. Did you see that? Those nickel bolsters? Something that you want. I've showed this a long time ago. Let's see, nickel bolsters. See that? This is my hatchet that you can carry in your pocket. And even though this is stainless steel, you don't fuck with it a lot, it stays sharp. And of course, it's got the long blade. But again, the nickel bolster. And I've showed this one before. Now, as far as knives go, stainless steel is good if you don't use it a lot. It's hard to resharpen something like this. My cheap knife is up here. I saw it. What did I do with it? I It's up here. I just don't see it. All right. Now, you see that pattern? The best knives you can get are carbon knives. They stay sharp longer and you can sharpen them. And I love like Tanto choppers, they call these. But this is a handmade knife. Pennsylvania, I think, is where it came from. Can't remember this pattern right now. I'm old man. And then, you know, if you just want something, same pattern, carbon steel, extremely sharp. This would cut down to the bone. If you hit somebody here, it would cut down to the bone. Solid hit, and this could puncture your lungs. Then this point there could puncture your lungs. So, just my little things I like. Hey, okay. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry I missed you. Thank you for coming. I did the same thing. Matter of fact, I touched a girl in her private spot and got in trouble for it. I had to do 5 days in school suspension. Yeah, I never got in trouble. Matter of fact, I grabbed Cindy Marvin. I just walked up to her and grabbed her crotch. She didn't flinch. She didn't flinch. Like, I was like, shit, give me your number. Let me come holler at you. But she didn't flinch. So, but yeah, I didn't get in any trouble for doing that. I never really got in trouble in high school. And 3rd grade was the only time I got kicked out of school. This girl said I punched her in her stomach. I don't know why she said that to this day. I didn't do nothing to her. I was chasing her. The teacher came back in the room, stopped chasing her. That was it. I wasn't even like, she was getting away from me. She was like away from me. And then she was sitting there acting like she was crying. And then she said, I socked her in the stomach. Like, I wasn't even close enough to you. And of course, my parents didn't want to hear that. It was my father and my stepmother. And 8 million stories. My stepmother and my father be out there cheating. My stepmother would take that shit out on me. 8 million stories. Me and he ain't never considered that because my father was a narcissist. And an agent. Too bad I didn't follow my own advice. After next week, my teacher said, I heard what you did. Did you learn your lesson from? I smiled and said, yeah, not to touch on white girls. Shit, we used to have sex in the school all the time. When I was in high school, I told this story. You know, I ripped off the football team. I took a bunch of jerseys. Basketball team, I took all my jerseys. We had keys. My friend was doing like a high school work study where he was like one of the janitors, but during his senior year, and he had keys to everything. I mean, literally everything. We had keys to the roof. But the coolest little thing we had was the cafeteria. When all the dividers would come together, the dividers had a room. And what was cool about the dividers was when you were inside, like when they all came together, they formed a small room. And I don't even know how we discovered this shit, but once inside, nobody could come in. It only locked from the inside. Like from the outside, if they was locked inside, there was no key or nothing. So once you we locked off 4 of these doors, no one could come in. And so we used to take girls, you know, in that little room and be with them in school and stuff. Go up on the roof, smoke a joint. I'd be in the gym shooting in the Saturday mornings. Like, how did you get in? I knew the alarms and everything. But yeah, I took all them jerseys. I had my jersey until I didn't take my number, of course. I think I took 42 because it's my buddies. I took 40 and 42. And I gave my best friend 85. I was giving out Kalamazoo Central jerseys left and right. Punched her, the stomach, stepped on her foot, slammed the child in the hard concrete. Yeah, oh my goodness. Lita Lee. I still remember her name because she married this dude named Willie. Her and Willie been together since high school. They've been together 40-some years. But yeah, she said I punched her, and I was nowhere near. It was like actually, it seemed like it was like Van was chasing her too. But we was just like the teacher wasn't in the room. We was just running because we was all together in another room. And then for some reason we went in the main classroom. We ran around and then we sat down. And I'm just sitting there. And the teacher's like, "What's wrong with you, Lita?" Brian punched me. Like, what? And I'm telling everybody, I did not punch this girl. I didn't touch this girl. And I remember that shit. That shit happened probably 40 some years ago. Probably longer than that. Probably closer to 50 years ago. The bitch was strong. It was gone. I was looking around saying, what is going on? So those was my high school escapades. And I've said that I've said before too, you know, one of the best periods of just America, my high school period was probably some of the best times in America. When Jimmy Carter came in, things really did get better. European people knew not to say nigga. It was an automatic fight. But they knew. It was like, you know, it was so many fights in the early 70s. By the time, 74 came in, or whenever maybe Jimmy Carter came in 76, shit was better. I mean, really was better. A lot of that racist shit that we saw come back in with Reagan, because that's what Reagan did. Reagan came back in and said it's okay to be a racist again. Now, I applauded what Reagan did to the Japanese, said, motherfuckers, if y'all gonna make them cars, y'all gonna start making some of the supplier parts over here. And he forced them companies. You got companies like Nippon Denso, Tram, and companies, they in Battle Creek, Michigan. That was Reagan's work. But Reagan was the one going to these little towns. You can see it on what was it called? The Chris Rock show, where Chris Rock was in it. Dakota? No, it's called. It was the movie where McDermott won the Academy Award. I'm having a blank. But that TV show on FX showed Reagan doing that. It showed Reagan going to these little towns, basically saying it's okay to be racist and say nigga and fuck with them again. And so there was any time in America that was really probably the best times. It was probably from 74 to 79 were probably the best times that I ever felt. I felt a little bit of like that before. I said this last night before OJ. It kind of was like that again. It was like really that black white shit was kind of played out. And it's like they got to throw that shit in our faces again. It's like that African American thing with Jesse Jackson. He's on every show saying African American. You think that was an accident? He's on everything in 1980. Well, no, it was after he had lost running for president. And they still got him on every show, and they're all coming out of his mouth as African American. I bet if somebody could go back and make a collage of his sound bites when he first started pushing that African, because it ain't nothing new. It was Malcolm coined the term Afro American, and that was what it was called at first. So Jesse just copied that term, but that's a term Malcolm came back and started saying, Afro Americans, and that was a term for something. So Fargo, yes, thank you, Fargo. That's it. I just heard Reagan calling African monkeys because they was not acclimated to wearing shoes. Well, Reagan was tied with the monkey with Bonzo, bedtime for Bonzo and shit. Reagan did a couple of them, Like when you see in JFK, the Oliver Stone movies, when there's supposedly the Lyndon Johnson say, "You want your damn war in Vietnam? I'll give it to you." After they supposedly killed Kennedy, which I don't think they killed Kennedy either. I think that's a lie. It makes me even wonder about Malcolm's murder and even King's. Because this 60s shit was a lot of just TV shit and not real events. And I've done all that Kennedy assassination studying, and it's just bullshit. To me, I say the best time was 96 through 2000 before 9/11. I would just say the only thing I would say at them times, it was still crack, those are still crack times too. Crack was still pumping through that. So for me, just looking at the way crack was starting to really affect, European neighborhoods and melanated neighborhoods, where I was in those periods, that was affecting a lot. But okay, I can see, that was what you perceived. That's cool. That's cool. So there was good times here, and it's still, I know a lot of people throw back and say if you lived in other countries, it could be worse, but Americans come back, it shouldn't be worse. We should be able to, live here peacefully, not be, infringed upon. But every day is a party. I'll say every day is a good day, every moment, and that's where we get lost in. We plan so far ahead of things. We put things, keep putting things in the future. Keep putting things in the future, with your imagination, instead of really manifesting them to happen, as soon as possible, to happen now. And so the moment is beautiful. And like this moment that you and I are sharing, everybody listening, if you listen again, I mean, this moment is special because every moment is special. So, because really the moment is all you have. As I said last night, Jimi Hendrix said this, I'm the one that's got to die when it's my time. And believe me, if you sitting there dying, however, gunshot, choking, fell off a building, whatever, those last few moments you trying to hold on to. Most people, it's hard for them to let go. The first, and that's the thing is like, I want more time with someone, or I need to do this. I didn't get to do that. No, you just accept it. When that shit comes, you have to accept it. Most people still want to fight. Where is my other knife? Why don't I see it? Here it is. Here's my cheap knife. You see, it has no bolsters. It's not very sharp. It says 440 stainless. Yeah, it's not sharp. And I sharpen this all the time because I cut shit with this, but it's 440 stainless don't mean shit. I wasn't born in the 70s. I can't go by the times I grew up. Yeah. I can look. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. That 3-year period after the mid-70s recession was probably the last of the good, pure, analytic, organic times. Yeah, that's what I was saying last night. Quantum of science has said something that's probably true. The old world is dead. That died. Now, I can't say that COVID, I would say that that's what probably killed all that. COVID probably killed all that. I kind of agree with him that those times are dead. Like something happened that they've changed where this is a new world. This really is a new world, what we're facing now. I mean, that's why they call it a new world order. And that's what we are under now. We are under the new world order, no doubt. So, and we won't perceive that death is there, but I think we've all felt it. We've all felt that something did go away, something did change. And it was the same way at 9/11. I remember picking my children up out of the schools, but because it put that panic, let me go take care of these. It's like going back to what my uncle said during Pearl Harbor. He's in Michigan and he's looking out for planes and shit. He's not understanding. He's like, what the fuck are they talking about? Planes is attacking America. He's going out in the yard looking around like ain't shit attacking us. He's like, Mom, ain't shit flying around here, So, So yeah, that thing did die. Because there's attachments to history. The old world and the new world are kind of attached. But it seems like what they did with COVID detached all that. It's like if there was ever a connection between the old world and the new world, and we saw the same. I even go back further. That probably killed some during 9/11. So there was any kind of attachments to 9/11 between the old world and the new world. Some of that probably died in that. And then that period between, even that 9/11 event and what we had in the last couple of years, probably all that was killed too. So any a semblance of that history was probably killed. And now, they talk so much about when they attack critical race theory as this to make Europeans feel bad, but it's like they don't even want the stories told anymore. They want to hide and bury this history again. And that the only problem is they're trying to bury history during the technology age. And as I said, these books they pumping out, these books is telling some of this stuff the way it was. And as I said, we need to put less emphasis on slavery and more emphasis on Reconstruction, because that's when the harm to our people came. I'm going to keep saying that every night. Every night I come on, I'm going to tell you, Reconstruction was the worst thing that happened to melanated people. It wasn't slavery. Now, I don't know if Dane really studies Reconstruction enough, but that was the dread on our people. That was when our people were harmed, was Reconstruction, not slavery. We weren't harmed by slavery. Not in the ways we were harmed by Reconstruction. Not to say, melanated people wasn't murdered from one coast to the other, but it got worse during Reconstruction. But they want you to think it was worse than slavery. No, it wasn't. Because they let the lower class of Europeans, they put them in control. The people without the skills. That's why they were so murderous. That's why they set up the unions in the South. Because these weren't the skilled people. I've said many times, after the Civil War, 99% of skilled labor in the South was melanated people. You may have had a master, but you go to work every day. And you ain't giving the master all your money. How many times you done read about people paying to get freedom? Paying to get out of contracts. Paying to get out of contracts. As I said before, that's shit where we don't know where the family is. Really? 12 Years a Slave did a good point of showing you how that would make a mother go crazy. She wouldn't be productive. So you think that was widely practiced to make people not productive? That people, you think these mothers wouldn't go crazy and be unresponsive and not be productive? You think if they did that in a wide range, breaking these families up like that, selling the children away, do you think if they did that widely, you'd have productive people? Does that make sense to you? 12 Years a Slave, it pointed out some good things. Why are they stealing people from the North? If you bring in African slaves over, why are you kidnapping people from the North? That's one tell they give you that shows you what slavery was. It wasn't Africans. And as I said, read the book. The book shows how he was working. He was working. He was working. He would go to other people's and work with them. That's what the book talks about. Other people would hire him out. They'd pay him. He'd pay the master. That's how it worked. We had left rights in the North than we did the South. That's why if you really look at the one to abolish slavery, you looked at their movement, it was a movement. Okay? It was a movement. But living conditions for melanated people in the North wasn't better. It was very much segregated. Chicago always been a segregated city. So, hey, Drew, what's happening? Dane talks about Reconstruction. No, he don't talk about it as much as I do. I don't think he talks about it as much as I do. Where does Curry rank all time? That's a tough call. To me, the best shooter of all time is Louis Dampier. Louis Dampier is the best shooter of all time because he played without the magnets. And his last season in the ABA, I believe it was 76-77. He shot 50% from the 3 points. And that's without the manipulation system. The ABA didn't have everything. So even though the little magnets that the NBA had with Jerry West shot and Don Nelson shot, Louis Dampier didn't have that. His whole career, he didn't have that. And he definitely didn't have it in 76-77 in the ABA. So Louis Dampier is the best shooter of all time because we can say pretty much with 100%, 100%, the bag, that funny motherfucker. But we can say with almost 100% confidence that he didn't have Magnus his whole career. And yet his last year, he shot 77%. He shot, excuse me, in 76, 77 season, he shot 50%. So how can I rank Curry over him when we know Curry's college career and pro career, he's had help? Now, is he the best shooter all time with magnets? Absolutely. So because of the magnets, does he rank higher? I mean, is he a, you got to consider all these, you got to consider this with him especially. Yes, I was talking about he's 6'3". You know what really Curry's real role is to get rid of big men. That's the real role, is to get rid of tall people. That's been the biggest role of Curry. Because just as I talk about football took a hit, so did basketball. I was seeing, again, my AAU goes back years, but I was seeing where these AAU teams, boys, there was the girls teams pumping out teams, but the boys teams was dwindling. I was seeing it dwindle because, again, people was wising up. They's like, I ain't going to be 6'7", so why am I playing? I'll play football, I'll play baseball, I'll play something else. Why should we play basketball? This is the reason for a lot of manipulation, because they want them numbers back up. They want these short children thinking they can play like Curry. If I'm 6'2", I'm 6'3", I got a chance. That is what Curry's for. And to get rid of the 7-footers, which basically they have. Basically, they've got rid of 7-footers. I'm saying as a center. I mean, if Jabbar was playing today, nothing. I wonder how even Wilt Chamberlain would do. Wilt could continuously make twos, and what percent could the other team continuously make threes to beat him? If Wilt could give you 60 and his people do decent, if there have been shooters out there, they could shoot enough threes to kill that. Because Kareem played with a three-point shot the majority of his career. Well, let's say up to 70. I think the first year of the three-point was 70, that year of the merger. So that had to be 70, 77, 78 season. Had to be the merger year that they merged. Yeah, it had to be 78. So that was the first year the three-point line would have been in. So Kareem played probably 10 years with the three-point line. And I think who was the first three-point shooter that led the league? Was that Reggie Miller? Did Reggie Miller ever lead the league in scoring? Who was the first three-point shooter to really lead the league in scoring? Salute 8 wins. So Kyrie and KD out. Yeah, I think so, King Kane. I'm sorry if I missed that. Those Barry White early 80s told it all. So did his song change? He knew the 80s was bringing fuckery and trickology. Monty Tao. I remember Monty Tao. Monty Tao. Monty Tao doesn't get the first person that was throwing alley-oops was Monty Tao. Well, the alley-oop really comes from the football player that played with San Francisco. When him and Y.A. Tittle, and I can't think of the brother's name, J.D. something. Almost thought about it. But he was an ex-basketball player that played football. And he would Y.A. Tittle would just throw it up to him, and they say, oh, there he is, going for the alley-oop. That's where alley-oop come from. It's a football term. But Monty Tao was the first one to be able to throw that shit to David Thompson. And I think David Thompson had a 41-inch vertical at 6'3", 6'4". Yeah, David Thompson wasn't. Maybe 6'4". I'll give him 6. Maybe 6'4". I don't think he was that tall because John Gale's 6'5", and David Thompson was quite a bit shorter than John. David Thompson wasn't terribly taller than me. A little bit, but not terribly. It wasn't like his shoulder was at my head. He wasn't that much taller than me. But that's where the alley-oop, the first one to throw alleys was Monty Todd for North Carolina State. Remember, they had Burleson too. They had a 7'4" dude that was battling Bill Walton. They beat him in '75. That team that went whatever 70-some loss without a loss. Then Notre Dame beat them. I remember too much old sports. I'll go Curry. I'll say guys like Iverson, Nash, and Rose. Those were the guys that won MVP in the 2000s. I say Nash wasn't shit. I'll say that. Nash wasn't shit. Steve Nash wasn't shit. I wouldn't even put Steve Nash into the Hall of Fame. What's happening? United Drills, what's happening, man? Yeah, I wouldn't even put Steve Nash in the Hall of Fame. All his shit. Just like they gave the boy in Denver. He didn't deserve that shit. Why not give it to Embiid? You know, that's that same agenda shit. And Nash was agenda too. Nash was agenda, you know, giving it to American Europeans. It's still the same agenda. You know, we dominate. It was like the Eminem, you know. It's like giving you Eminem. No matter what, we're better at what you guys invented. And that's what Eminem was Steve Nash. That's the same thing. We're you guys invented, we never. Was the great white hope they needed. Exactly, Marco. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's what Steve Nash was. And that's the same thing we see with the Joker. He didn't deserve it 2 years in a row. It's like when they gave Eminem the Grammys. The first one he got, I'll say when he made the movie. Okay, the first one he deserved, but the two other ones, I remember Jay-Z should have won one that Eminem got. And I'm trying to think, was it? And like even the way they did 50, didn't give him Artist of the Year. Gave that bait cello chick, Steve Nash, now the Hall of Famer. You wildin' OG. I don't think he is. I think he's all creative. I wouldn't give it to him. I wouldn't give it to him personally. I wasn't impressed with Steve Nash. He wasn't a scorer. I mean, again, when they have it scripted for you to throw 14 assists, you can throw 14 assists. Again, scripted for him to throw 14 assists. What was his natural skill? Wasn't quick, wasn't fast. Okay. Where does Bob Cousy? That's where I'll give you the parallel. Steve Nash and Bob Cousy was the same player. Steve Nash and Bob Cousy was the exact same player. If you switch them, their roles wouldn't switch at all. If you put Steve Nash on them Boston teams, remember Bob Cousy only played with Bill Walton or Bill Russell a couple years. Bob Cousy was older. But if you switch them two players in time periods, it'd be the same results. Bob Cousy could do what Steve Nash did. Dribble around people and dishing. I don't know. It reminded me too much of Curly Neal. Watching him play reminded me too much of Curly Neal. You know, I was about to say Steve Nash was one of the first that would dribble through the baskets. You know, like dribble through the lane and not shoot. But I watched Curly Neal do that for years when he's playing the Globetrotter games. Curly Neal would do the same thing. Curly Neal would dribble right through the lane, you know, before he would dish. So I don't even give Nash that credit because Curly Neal used to do that shit all the time. So I don't give it to him. And that's what I'll say. You want to compare him, that's who he is. He's Bob Cousy. And if you put Nash back in Bob Cousy time, Nash don't play any better, don't play any different. Same way you put Bob Cousy in now times, he would be just as effective as Steve Nash was. A little bigger. Nash was a little bigger. That's only thing. Yeah, it's all scripted. Exactly. It is definitely all scripted. But I'm just saying, if you want to compare who he is, that's two players that's who they are. How did I talk about sports the whole time? Pretty much the sporting hour, which that's okay. Well, I think this is going to be it. Damn, and I'm not doing a divination because I didn't look up the cards again. But I want to get into more cards and do readings and shit. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day. Yeah. But it's got to be done. I think Ivy was the only note I think I made tonight. So you lose, you lose, and then you get pick number 5. You throw away, you throw the game away in the tournament, then you get pick number 5. Nobody goes back like, ain't that the motherfucker that had them 2 crucial turnovers? What if he gonna have crucial turnovers when our team is in the playoffs? And didn't they just get a guard number 1 last year? Why did the Pistons need another guard? I mean, no, he's gonna be a 2 guard, but damn, you just drafted a guard. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but we'll see. All right. Well, yeah, I'm gonna call it because I do got some shit to do. So Mora. It all starts with a gentle sadness. They came from their original homeland. They knew that they had exact number of years and days before they would disappear off the earth as a culture and a lifestyle. But the civilization would build to a gentle love. They lived in the Creator's day and knew how to separate cycles and the great serpents. And as the mind would say, use the eyes of Laura Marsh because I am another yourself. So as you deal with the people, zar into them. I call it the eyes of Laura Marsh. And look at it from their perspective if you can. Show a few more minutes of patience to see if you can understand where they're coming from. So, and remember, if you're having trouble with your dreams and you feel your dreams are being bothered, remember, just turn your room on. And what I mean by that is tell the things in your room what's going on in your dreams, and then why you picked the things in your room, your bedroom specifically, and that they should protect you and make you safe. And that's really all it takes. I mean, crystals can amplify that. You can get a quartz crystal and it'll amplify your manifestations. So. And those of you working, may you work safely. May you go home safely. And may you rest well and get all the rest you need to prepare you for the next day. Yeah. And remember, love just is. Love has no equal. It's just love. There's nothing else equal to it. Hate ain't love, and hate is not. Love is supreme. Love stands by itself. Then Tony made Nash with that offense. Imagine Tony Parker with that freedom. That's a good point. He did, but that's how it was scripted. And they had the big young dude too. The big young dude was a good player. He did a good pick and roll, but he couldn't really shoot. He was like Shaq, Another player came out of high school that needed really a few more years. But that guy got a 20-year career and then ended up saying he was a Jewish faith. See, that basketball player said he was Jewish faith. That's what his mama said. And he went over to Israel. And damn if they didn't give him citizen of being a Jew. And his whole rap was Hebrew Israelite. That was his whole rap. So how did he get in and these other Israelites ain't getting in? But that brother got in. That was my understanding of his story. He was a Hebrew Israelite. Maybe y'all remember a little more. Yep, Stoudemire. Stoudemire was supposedly a Hebrew Israelite. At least that was the story I heard him say. Out of what he said his mom told him. It wasn't nobody born over there born, or no, it was that Hebrew Israelite stuff. That same stuff. So maybe there was somebody else. And conclusion, I'm gonna say it. The words of Lazarus Long. The days are long, but the years are short. So make every moment. Yep. After his Knicks, that's where he said he started touching into his Jewish roots was when he was in New York. And he stole that money from him because he didn't play well up there. He didn't help them. He didn't help them worth a damn. So, well, y'all, this has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. Thank you guys. Whoever came in, popped out, whatever. Doesn't matter. Thank you. I appreciate to have an audience. I appreciate audience that, has constant things to say. So I appreciate that. So thank you very much. And so, till we meet again, say less.